Reimagining Spirituality. A universal path to the ineffable. Have you ever wondered if there's more to spirituality than organized religion or rigid beliefs? What if the divine isn't a person in the sky, but something deeper? A vast, formless ocean holding every wave of life, including you and me. I used to see the world through the lens of evangelical Christianity, where rules and fear often overshadowed wonder. But after stepping away, I discovered a new way to approach the ineffable, the mysterious essence of existence. This isn't just for those leaving faith traditions. It's for anyone seeking a cohesive, non-religious path to meaning. Today, let's explore a framework that blends spirituality, philosophy, and psychology. It's about understanding the divine as the ground of being, a foundational source we all flow from. The stories we tell, like calling it Father or Almighty, aren't literal truths to obey. They're symbols to guide us. And by seeing them this way, we can embrace what I call secular spirituality, a way to connect with the profound without dogma, rituals, or supernatural claims. Secular spirituality is simply finding awe, purpose, and connection in the natural world and our inner lives, free from religious structures. If you're curious about a spirituality that unites rather than divides, this is for you. Let's dive in. Let's start with reimagining what we mean by the divine or the ineffable, that which is beyond words or full understanding. In many traditions, it's pictured as a person, a king, a father, an almighty judge. But what if it's not a being at all, but the source of all beings? Picture an endless ocean, where every wave, every ripple, is part of it. That's what philosopher Paul Tillich called the ground of being, the foundation of everything, from the stars to your thoughts. It's not a person with plans or emotions. It's the essence of existence itself, holding all life together in unity. This idea isn't new or tied to any one religion. Ancient thinkers spoke of something similar, like the monad, a single, indivisible source from which everything emerges. Even modern ideas in philosophy and science hint at this. Some quantum thinkers suggest the universe might arise from a unified field, like a cosmic consciousness we're all expressions of. For me, moving beyond evangelicalism meant letting go of a God who felt like a distant authority, always demanding obedience. Instead, I found freedom in seeing the divine as this ground of being, a source that doesn't judge, but simply is, inviting us to live fully within it. Why does this resonate? A personal view of the divine can feel limiting, like shaping it to fit our fears or hopes. If it's a strict almighty figure, we might live in constant anxiety about getting it right. But if it's the ground of all existence, we're not separate from it. We're part of it. This shifts everything. You're not a flawed individual begging for approval. You're a unique expression of the infinite, free to create, love, and grow. It's a secular spirituality that doesn't require belief in the supernatural, but opens you to the awe of being alive. And it sets the foundation for how we can use symbolic stories, not as commands, but as guides to understand our place in this vast source. Now, if the divine is this formless ground of being, what do we do with the names and stories we give it, like Father or Almighty? In religious texts, like the Bible, God is called Father, and ancient philosophers like Philo of Alexandria spoke of the Logos, which is divine reason or the organizing wisdom of the universe. But here's the key. These aren't literal beings to worship. They're symbols, like metaphors, that help us connect with the ineffable. Let me clarify what I mean by archetypes. Psychologist Carl Jung described archetypes as universal patterns in our minds, innate ideas that show up in stories, dreams, and cultures worldwide. They're not made up. They're part of our shared human psyche, like templates for understanding life. For example, the father archetype evokes guidance, strength, and authority. Growing up in evangelicalism, I saw this as a literal almighty figure, someone to please or fear. But now I see it as a symbol of the stability we all seek, like an inner guide for life's challenges. It's not a god out there. It's a piece of wisdom within us. Similarly, Philo's logos, from Jewish philosophy, is the idea of divine reason, the spark of logic that orders the universe and lives in us when we think clearly. It's not a person or a deity, but a way to connect with the ground of being through our own reasoning. Jung taught that these archetypes, Father, Almighty, even the shadow of our darker side, are part of our collective unconscious, like mental blueprints we use to make sense of existence. When I faced uncertainty after leaving my old beliefs, I realized the father archetype wasn't a cosmic judge. It was my own resilience, helping me stand strong. The Almighty wasn't a ruler. It was a symbol of boundless potential, reminding me of the infinite source we're all part of. Seeing archetypes as symbols is freeing. It means we don't bow to them. We learn from them. We look inward, asking, what's this symbol revealing about my fears, my dreams, my growth? This is the heart of secular spirituality, using these patterns not for religious rituals, but for personal insight. It's a non-religious way to view the ineffable, turning ancient ideas into tools for modern life. But why is it so important to see these as symbols? Because treating them literally can create real problems. Let's talk about projection, a psychological term where we take our inner conflicts, like fear or anger, and push them onto something outside ourselves. For example, if we literalize the shadow archetype as an actual evil force, like a devil, we might blame it for our mistakes instead of facing them. Anthropologist René Girard took this further with his idea of scapegoating. He explained that humans often build tension through imitation, wanting what others have, leading to rivalry and chaos. To resolve this, societies pick a scapegoat, someone or something to blame, like an enemy or heretic. When we literalize archetypes, like turning the Father or Almighty into sacred figures, we use them to justify this. We worship them to feel superior or attack others who don't, fueling extremism. This ties directly to how our worldviews are shaped by the type of God we serve. If we believe in a literal personal God, like an almighty judge who favors one group, we create worldviews that are exclusive. My God is right, yours is wrong, becomes the lens through which we see everything. This exclusivity breeds aggression. When someone else's worldview differs, it feels like a threat. History shows this: crusades, inquisitions, or modern culture wars, where differing beliefs about the divine lead to division, violence, or social exclusion. We project our insecurities onto others, scapegoating them as unbelievers or infidels to protect our sense of rightness. Projection and scapegoating make it easy to avoid responsibility. If I blame an almighty judge for my hardships, I don't have to examine my choices. If I see evil as a literal force, I can scapegoat others instead of confronting my own flaws. But this framework changes everything. By seeing archetypes as symbols, the shadow isn't an external demon. It's my own unresolved issues asking me to grow. The Almighty isn't a punisher. It's a symbol of inner power, urging me to take charge. And by viewing the divine as a shared, formless ground of being, we remove the obstacles to unity. There's no my God versus yours. We're all expressions of the same source. Differences in beliefs become opportunities for dialogue, not conflict. We stop aggressing against others because we recognize that exclusivity comes from literalizing symbols, not from the ineffable itself. In a polarized world, this builds understanding. Secular spirituality encourages this self-reflection, turning projection into insight and scapegoating into empathy. It's a path to stability, where we own our actions and connect as equals. In the end, this framework offers a way to view the ineffable, the ground of being as our shared source, archetypes as guides for growth, and a commitment to responsibility over blame. Secular spirituality frees us from dogma, inviting awe and connection without religion. This path transformed my life. It can enrich yours too. Reflect. What symbols are speaking to you today? Let's build a world that unites us in wonder. Thank you for listening.